Hey everybody, Sneaky Narcotic, back at it again with another YouTube video. Today we are going to be going over some more Magic the Gathering Core Set 2020 spoilers. Actually, a couple of these I'll be seeing for the first time myself fully. I kind of glanced over them when I was making this PowerPoint, but I didn't really get to read them because I've been at work all day. But anyways, let's get into it, guys, with the first card of the day. Eternal Isolation, 1 generic, 1 white, sorcery, uncommon. Put target creature with power 4 or greater on the bottom of its owner's library. Well, at least the view is nice. So this card's really good when you think of cards like Rekindling Phoenix. Rekindling Phoenix, if you put it on the bottom of its owner's library, cannot actually get its triggers off. Another card to think about, in fact, is another Phoenix, Arclight Phoenix. A lot of Phoenix decks will play Arclight Phoenix and they want them to either be on the battlefield or in the graveyard. So if you put them on the bottom of the deck, then it's a win-win and probably going to be a win for you. So, the next card is Kethis, the Hidden Hand. 1 white, 1 black, 1 green. Abzan colors, legendary creature, elf advisor, and it is of mythic rarity. Legendary spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Exile 2 legendary cards from your graveyard until end of turn. Each legendary card in your graveyard gains. You may play this card from your graveyard. The pen is mightier than the crown, and it is a 3/4. So this card kind of reminds me a little bit of Muldrotha when Muldrotha first came out, because you can play things from your graveyard, and there are more than just legendary creatures, planeswalkers. There's artifacts. I wonder if this counts as legendary sorceries. Although legendary sorceries are exiled, so you can't really do anything like that, I guess. But anyways, this card's going to be interesting. Muldrotha saw play. This is a cheaper Muldrotha with a little bit of a synergy. With Dominaria still being in the standard, and I don't think it's cycling out. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's cycling out in September. So it might go with that whole synergy that they started in Dominaria with the whole legendaries and historic and all of that. So we'll see. Vivien Arkbow Ranger, 1 generic in 3 green mana. Legendary Planeswalker Vivien. It is of mythic rarity. +1, distribute 2 +1/+1 counters among up to 2 target creatures. They gain trample until end of turn. -3, target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker. -5, you may choose a creature card you own from outside the game, reveal it, and put it into your hand. That -5 is really cool. It's called a wish ability when you can pull something from outside of the game. Now, granted, if you're going to take this to tournaments, and honestly, unless you're playing this in a playgroup that accepts wish cards, you're going to want to have a sideboard. So, think that through. This is going to be something that you would want out of your sideboard to deal with things. My thing is maybe Reclamation Elf, which destroys enchantments if we're thinking mono green. Carnage Tyrant if you're going up against control. So there are things that in mono green in standard would be really good to have as your wish cards. The last time we saw a Planeswalker did this was when Karn Master Artificer came out. And Karn Master Artificer, if I remember correctly, it's somewhere between 20 and 40. I won't lie, I haven't looked in a while. But that card was really good and still sees play in Mono Green Tron. So this could be another card to add to Mono Green Tron. Bloodsoaked Alter, 4 generic mana and 2 black mana. Artifact, uncommon. Tap it, pay 2 life, discard a card, sacrifice a creature, create a 5/5 black demon creature token with flying. Activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. Blood seeps into the stone and darkness emerges. So, I guess if you're trying to build a demon tribal, which I don't think is a tribe honestly right now, as far as it's a high cost, and then it's another high cost to actually use it. Because you have to pay 2 life, discard a card, sacrifice a creature. That's all in it. And tap it, which doesn't really matter too much, but by the time you get this off and you get your little 5/5 black demon creature with, flying, there's not really a need for it. So I don't think this card will see play, to be honest, unless there's some broken combo that happens in future sets. Gargos Vicious Watcher. It is 3 generic, 3 green mana, legendary creature Hydra. It is of rare rarity. Vigilance Hydra spells can you cast cost 4 generic mana less to cast. Whenever a creature you control becomes the target of a spell, Gargos Vicious Watcher fights up to 1 target creature you don't control, and it is an 8/7. So the really cool thing about this, I actually have a friend that made a Hydra tribal, I think it's 5 colors, I'm not sure, 5-color commander. And the really cool thing about this is a lot of Hydras, even in standard right now, cost X cost. And something some people might not know is if you have an X cost and there's a discount out, like Hydra spells you cast cost 4 less to cast, it makes it X cost -4, or X cost +4, I'm sorry, backwards. So, for instance, let's say you have a Hydroid Krasis. Hydroid Krasis' CMC is 1 blue mana and 1 green mana. And it has an X cost, 1 blue, 1 green. So, you could bring it out for 1 blue mana, 1 green mana as a 4/4. Or you could pay deeper into it. So, it makes cards like that pretty good. There's another Hydra in standard right now that I'm blanking on. But it's really cool too, and I think that if there was a Hydra tribe in Standard, that now's the time for it, because Gargos is really good for that. I do appreciate that they made this a legendary creature. If they were to have this as a creature and not legendary, could you imagine what, 12 less to cast? 12 less to cast Hydroid Krasis? That's pretty bad. Cavalier of Gales, 2 generic, 3 blue mana creature elemental knight. It is of mythic rarity. Flying, when Cavalier of Gales enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. When Cavalier of Gales dies, shuffle it into its owner's library, then scry 2. So, it's a 5/5 for 5 with flying. That's okay. I guess being able to see 3 cards and go ahead and putting one of those cards in your hand and then the other 2 in any order on top is okay too. The whole shuffle it back into your library and scries, that's makes it a reoccurring threat. Honestly, out of the Cavaliers, this is probably the better of them for me. Yeah, I would say that this is probably the better of the Cavaliers. I just don't know how I feel about the Cavaliers because, yeah, they're 3 mana of 1 color, and that means you're going to be playing that color. While I still have them up, that's the same for Gargos, unless you're going to play the long game. Although, mono green's not that bad right now. So, anyways. Ancestral Blade, 1 generic, 1 white. I am so sorry for the fuzzy picture. Artifact equipment, uncommon. When Ancestral Blade enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token, then attach Ancestral Blade to it. Equipped creature gets +1/+1, and it has an equip cost of 1. So, we saw this with, I'm going to say Immolating Mask. This is just going to be part of a cycle. A lot of these are part of a cycle. The Cavaliers were part of a cycle. Of cards that make a little crappy token and attach it to it immediately. I don't know where this is going to see play, but if they do a whole full cycle, and it's a 5... I think 5-color artifact creatures would be pretty interesting to see, so maybe that's where they're going with this. I want to mention, I grab a lot of these cards from MagicSpoilers.com. And they are a website that I use because they see a lot of cards early. I use Twitter and I use them. Twitter sees them the earliest. Whenever a YouTuber who gets a free card to put out there puts it out there, it's on Twitter most of the time. And then, not long after, MagicSpoiler.com puts it out. That being said, they put out the original picture, and then they take a minute to translate. Which is why I grab my translations from MTG Goldfish, which takes roughly 3 or 4 hours afterwards to translate it. They're pretty quick, honestly. So that's why you'll see some of these fuzzy pictures. Embodiment of Agonies, 1 generic in 2 black mana. Flying, Death Touch, Embodiment of Agonies enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. For each different mana cost amongst non-land cards in your graveyard. For example, 2 generic and a black, and 1 generic and 2 black are different mana costs. I feel your pain, it's exquisite, and it comes out as a 0/0. I don't like that it comes out as a 0/0. I really am interested in this card and wondering where it's going to see play exactly. I would like to mention in a multicolored deck, this will probably have a lot of +1/+1 counters on it, but it's also going to be part of the late game. I don't think that giving a card with +1/+1 counter abilities on it, Death Touch, is really relevant in my opinion. So I don't know how I feel about this card, if it deserves its rarity, to be honest. But I like it being a demon. I love the art. The art looks cool. So maybe this is the beginning of Demon Tribal. We'll see. Colossus Hammer. Oh, the meme of the day right here, guys. Colossus Hammer. 1 generic mana. Artifact equipment. It is a uncommon. Equipped creature gets +10/+10 and loses flying. Equip cost of 8. There's only one way to be sure it's really dead. My favorite meme of the day is, are you freaking kidding me, Wizards? Where's the ban hammer on this one? I think this will, honestly, if I had to make a guess, would be seeing play in mono green. Because mono green is able to generate so much mana now that the equip cost ain't nothing, but also because mono green has trample, and to give your already big creature that has trample +10/+10 is really good. For instance, if you were to give one of the biggest threats in mono green, Carnage Tyrant, +10/+10, that would be a 17/16, I believe. With trample, it already comes with it. If I'm not mistaken, it has trample and hexproof. So yeah, we'll see Colossus Hammer played for sure. As far as drafted and sealed, yes, please grab Colossus Hammer. Granted, in my draft decks, okay, I would have to literally play half the mana I play. I normally play 16 mana. So, for you to see this in an actual draft deck, you will have to pull out half your mana. Or make a 60-card deck, which nobody in draft ever thought a 60-card deck was for real. I have seen some people play a 113-card deck in draft. Something up there. Something over 100, and that was ridiculous to me. He was like, I didn't want to make a decision. Skyknight Vanguard, 1 red, 1 white creature human knight. It is an uncommon. It has flying. Whenever Skyknight Vanguard attacks, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token that's tapped and attacking. Jump now! And it is a 1/2 for 2 mana that generates tokens. That's pretty nice. Token generators normally see play. This is basically, and of course I can't think of it right now. There was a red card in Ravnica that generated a 1/1 goblin with haste and attacking whenever it's your combat. And of course, I can't think of it right now. But that's what this reminds me of, except for it was 3 cost, if I'm not mistaken, and this is 2 cost. It is also in Boros colors, which is understandable. It also has flying, which is pretty worth it, in my opinion. So yeah, we'll definitely see this played, I believe. Riddlemaster Sphinx. This is actually a reprint. It is 4 generic, 2 blue, creature Sphinx. It has flying and it's of rare rarity. It has flying. When a Riddlemaster Sphinx enters the battlefield, you may return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. Safe passage requires only a simple answer to a simple question. Traveler. 5/5 for 6 that bounces a creature when it comes out and has flying. That's pretty okay, you know? That's pretty okay. I love the artwork though. He's making the Traveler disappear. Another reprint today, Aggressive Mammoth. I was kind of hoping not to see this creature reprinted, but whatever. 3 generic mana, 3 green mana, creature Elephant. It is of rare rarity. It has trample. Other creatures you control have trample. It's a 8/8 for 6. Approach from behind. That way, if it does charge, at least you aren't in front of it. Vivien Reed. Ooh, love the flavor text. I don't believe the flavor text was there last time it was printed. That's pretty cool. It's seen some play in mono green before. I haven't really seen it recently when I've been playing mono green. But then again, mono green has become Tron, so... Another reprint of the day. Ancestral Elemental. 3 generic and 2 blue mana. Creature Elemental. It is an uncommon. Pretty cool artwork. I love the little cyclone. And I think that's a bird right in front of it. And I think that might even be somebody's stand. No, that's a tree. Flying, and it's a 4/4. Ooh, cool. It's an uncommon. What can you ask for? As the ship approached, the Jade Totem rose high overhead. Power rippled. Eyes of stone glowed and crackled. Out hissed a breath of the world, and a windstorm came alive. Battalion Foot Soldier. 2 generic and 1 white. Creature human soldier. It's a common. When Battalion Foot Soldier enters the battlefield, you may search your library for any number of cards named Battalion Foot Soldier. Reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. With me, break this line, and the rest will fall. And it is a 2/2. So, we've seen a card like this. Some type of Vampire Conquistador from Ixalan did the same exact thing. All it really does is filter out your land, filter out your creatures, and gives you, I guess, gas if you need it. I mean, they're 2/2s, they're not going to do anything for real, and it's a lot of mana for a 2/2. So, common. Faerie Miscreant. It is 1 blue. Creature Fairy Rogue. It's a common. Has flying. It's a 1/1. When Faerie Miscreant enters the battlefield, if you control another creature named Faerie Miscreant, draw a card. 1 fairy distracts the judge while a second steals the law. I appreciate that. I appreciate that the flavor text also kind of matches the rule text. I think this is interesting. I don't think it'll see play for real. If it does, cool. I can see some type of jank of like drawing cards based off of copying the creature, but other than that, Undead Servant. 3 generic and 1 black. Creature zombie. It is a common. When Undead Servant enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token for each card named Undead Servant in your graveyard. There are always more like you. Madras of Zargoth Fen. It is a 3/2. So what would have been really cool is if this is one of those rare cards that we see nowadays. It says you can have any number of them in your library. Because that, well, I guess that would make this card broken and honestly of rare rarity, which I'd appreciate seeing. I really wish there was more, and I guess I can't because it's a common. Pack Mastiff. 1 generic, 1 red. Creature Hound. Common. 1 generic, 1 red. Each creature you control named Pack Mastiff gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Their loyalty is not to any master, but to the pack, and it is a 2/2 for 2 that can beef itself, plus others. Overcome. 3 generic and 2 green. Sorcery. Uncommon. Creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain trample until end of turn. Forward until the horizon is ours. Chemesis? Charioter. Sure. Giving all your creatures +2/+2 in trample is pretty cool. I think this card could potentially see play if it was an instant. It's a sorcery, so meh. Ah, yes. If this card was actually not in this picture, but in a, actual scanned picture, I'd probably make it the card of the day. It's a pretty interesting card. I have to actually look up on my phone the text. So while I'm stalling, The name of the card is Drakuseth, Maw Of Flames. It is 4 generic and 3 freaking red mana. Of course, it is a legendary creature. It is red. It has rarity of rare. It is probably a dragon, if I had to assume. I don't think it's any other creature type. I don't read Cantonese or whatever that is. It has flying. When Drakuseth attacks, deal 4 damage to target. This is a little bit of a translation. Whenever Drakuseth attacks, deal 4 damage to target and deal 3 damage to each of up to another target. So I'm assuming that you can pick 3 different targets. One of them receives 4 damage, the other 2 receive 3 damage. And it's a 7/7. That's really cool. A 7/7 for 7 that deals a total of 10 damage when it comes out. I mean, you can pick the same 10 damage to go to the same place. If this is translated correctly, this also means that you can hit planeswalkers, you can hit creatures, you can hit players, you can hit tokens. So yeah, this can hit a lot of things, and I appreciate that. Goldmane Griffin. So some of this is going to be cards from the planeswalker decks. I don't know how you feel about the planeswalker decks. If the Yanling that I saw that lets all your lands tap for an extra blue, or your islands tap for an extra blue as their ultimate, no, excuse me, not tap for an extra blue, draw a card. That's why I thought that was interesting. If that was a planeswalker deck, that will probably be the only planeswalker I buy. Although if the Ajani was the that makes Pride Mates is the planeswalker deck Ajani, then I probably will be buying that one too. Goldmane Griffin, 3 generic and 2 white. Creature Griffin, it's a rare. Flying Vigilance. When Goldmane Griffin enters the battlefield, you may search your library and or graveyard for a card named Ajani Inspiring Leader. Reveal it and put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. It's a 3/2. I'm not really going to go too much into this card. It's in a planeswalker deck, so rarity doesn't matter. Ajani Inspiring Leader. Hey, look at that. So, actually, this is the planeswalker deck Ajani. 4 generic, 2 white. Legendary planeswalker Ajani. It is mythic rare. +2, you gain 2 life. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on up to 1 target creature. -3, exile target creature. Its controller gains 2 life. -10, creatures you control gain flying and double strike until end of turn. This is what you're going to see with planeswalker deck planeswalkers. They're going to be okay. Not game breaking, not interesting per se. But okay. They're meant to play against each other, and this is definitely okay. Comes out for 5, loyalty for 6. Savannah Sage. 1 generic, 1 white creature cat cleric. It is a common. When Savannah Sage enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life. Now is not the time for your light to fade. 2/2. So it's a 2/2 for 2 that gains you 2 life. That's not bad. Not bad at all. Twinblade Palladin. 3 generic, 1 white creature human knight. It is a uncommon. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on Twinblade Palladin. As long as you have 25 or more life, Twinblade Palladin has double strike. It is a 3/3. I could see this going into mono white. This is probably a top-end, and surprisingly, for mono white. Although Ajani Pridemate's doing fine. So, yeah. This is an Ajani Pridemate with an ability to become double strike. So, yeah, I definitely see this. Yanling, Celestial Wind, 4 generic and 2 white. I messed that up. 4 generic and 2 blue. Legendary Planeswalker Yanling. Mythic rare. +1 until your next turn. Up to 1 target creature gets -5, -0. -3, return up to 2 target creatures to their owner's hand. -7, creatures you control with flying get +5/+5 until end of turn. So this is kind of like a flying tribal, in my opinion, with the ultimate. And this Planeswalker deck of Yanling. Yangling's Harbinger. 3 generic, 2 blue mana, creature bird. It is rare. Flying when Yangling's Harbinger enters the battlefield, you may search your library and or graveyard for a card named Yanling Celestial Wind. Reveal it and put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. It is a 2/4 for 5. Terrible. Mystic Forge. This card... I'll give this card the card of the day, to be honest. Mystic Forge, God love you, I hope I never see you. Mystic Forge, 4 generic mana, artifact, rare. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may cast the top card of your library if it's an artifact card or a colorless non-land permanent. Tap it, pay 1 life, exile the top card of your library. This card is going to suck. And I don't know about... I honestly don't know about Standard as much as Commander, dude. This card, me and my buddy were talking about it today. We in our play group of 4, we have a guy that loves artifacts. I'm the controlled guy, he's the artifact guy. And oh my god, it just kills me. Anytime he plays artifacts, he plays Unwinding Clock, he plays Graveyard Recursion with artifacts I can't even think the name of right now. He has Brea, which is his commander, which means that he can do blue and red, which he does. He has Combustible Gearhulk and I believe a Torrential Gearhulk in there. God. He has insane cards. With him being able to cast non-land cards or artifact cards from his library, just go ahead and play him all the way through. I believe there's infinite combos you can do with to gain mana and basically play out your whole deck in one turn, and hopefully have a counterspell for that impending board wipe, I would hope. I'm not looking forward to Mystic Forge. And the other thing about this card is I got focused on the artifact card, but rereading this card again today. Colorless non-land card. Eldrazi's, anyone? Even the Devoid Eldrazi's, they are colorless, so this could go in an Eldrazi deck and be scary as hell. Mystic Forge, you might be the card of the set. As far as Commander is concerned, yeah. Celestial Messenger, 2 generic, 2 blue. Creature Bird Spirit. That screams Yanling. Common Flash, flying, Celestial Messenger gets +1/+1 as long as you control Yanling Planeswalker. Told you. It soars on the winds of dreams, Yanling, and it is a 3/2. This is the Merfolk, Elemental Shaman that I am... No, okay. Got ahead of myself. Waterkin Shaman. 1 generic, 1 blue. Creature Elemental Shaman, uncommon. Whenever a creature with flying enters the battlefield under your control, Waterkin Shaman gets +1/+1 until end of turn. They come to drink, to bathe, and I believe to play. 2/1 for 2. This is the Merfolk I was thinking about, and it's a freaking pirate. Okay. Brineborn Cutthroat. It is a 1 generic, 1 blue creature Merfolk pirate. Uncommon, has flash. Whenever you cast a spell during an opponent's turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Brineborn Cutthroat. I always attack from where their spyglasses Kate see. It is a 2/1. I could see this in like a mono blue control deck. You know, you hold up your counter spells, you take whatever they have as long as you don't want to counter it, draw cards, or put out your Brineborn Cutthroat. Another card that has flash and is a Merfolk. Merfolk Trickster. This card is ridiculous. Whenever you cast a spell during an opponent's turn, so you can continue. It's not even just one. Whenever you do, you continue to flashing cards. This is in white and blue, and that's just... This is in white and blue, meaning that you can play this in Azorius. Obviously, it's in blue. And white-blue is known for playing an instant. Okay? Just play it at instant in white and blue. That's all I'm saying. Dark Remedy. 1 generic, 1 black, instant, common. Target creature gets +1/+3 until end of turn. Writhing tendrils of darkness stitched him back together, though his will and body both were broken. The necromancer's magic would not let him rest. Krinia, Siege of the Bone Spire. Sage of the Bone Spire, I guess? Siege? I guess what Sage was... Yeah, Siege. Thirsting Bloodlord, 2 generic, 2 black, creature vampire, uncommon. Other vampires you control get +1/+1. This is another lieutenant, guys. That's pretty good. A whole life full of memories and experience, love and sorrow, drained drop by drop into the bottle. Could any feast be more glorious? It is a 3/3 for 4 that also gives your vampires pumps. And we're always looking for vampire lords, so this is pretty cool. Savage Gorger, 1 generic, 2 black. In case you forgot, vampires are your thing. Creature vampire. Common. Flying. At the beginning of your end step, if an opponent lost life this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Savage Gorger. I have no patience for sipping blood from crystal goblets. I want to bite and tear. So, it's pretty cool. I like that his flying, because honestly, I believe all vampires should have flying, since most of them are flying, you know? But anyways, I think this card might see play in like Vampire Tribal, because if you have the other Vampire Lord out, you could have it at, you could play it at the 2-drop, Savage Gorger at the 3-drop, and Thirsting Bloodlord at the 4-drop. And then let's do the math. That would be 2, 3. You can have it at 5 on turn 5 or 4 or something like that. A 5/5 flyer for turn 4 or 5. Doing quick math. Sorin's Guide. It is 3 generic, 2 black. Creature vampire. Rare. When Sorin's Guide enters the battlefield, you may search your library and or graveyard for a card named Sorin Vampire Lord. Reveal it and put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. My people serve the dragon Kalagon, but I give my blood for a greater lord. It is a 4/2. Chandra Flames Fury, 4 generic and 2 red. Legendary Planeswalker Chandra. In case you didn't have enough of the 3 Chandras we already have in this set, it's of M20 Mythic Rarity, +1. Chandra Flames Fury deals 2 damage to any target. It shocks something. -2. Chandra's Flame Fury deals 4 damage to target creature and 2 damage to that creature's controller. I could have sworn Chandra already did that. -8. Chandra's Flame Fury deals 10 damage to target player and each creature that player controls. A board wipe. I might have gone over this card already, to be honest, because it looks familiar. It's a 4 loyalty for 6. And the -8 is its ultimate. I don't like it. Chandra's Flame Wave, 3 generic and 2 red mana, sorcery, rare. Chandra's Flame Wave deals 2 damage to target player and each creature that player controls. Search your library and or graveyard for a card named Chandra's Flame Fury. Reveal it and put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. It's High Tide. Ooh. Pyroclastic Elemental, 3 generic and 2 red. Creature Elemental uncommon, 1 generic and 2 red. Pyroclastic Elemental deals 1 damage to target player. Whoever thought of making mobile volcanoes was a genius. Chandra Nalaar, 5/4 for 5. That can ping damage for 3. To target player. If it was to any target, I think I'd see this card more often. I just don't like it. Big red isn't a thing right now anyways, so nah. Wildfire Elemental, 2 generic and 2 red. Creature Elemental common. When an opponent is dealt non-combat damage, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. Nah. Fire is always dancing, leaping, and whirling, seeking more fuel. It never rests, so why should I? Chandra Nalaar, and it is a 3/3 4/4. Vivien Nature's Avenger, 4 generic and 2 green. I think this is the Planeswalker deck, Vivien. I might be mistaken. No, actually, yeah, this is the Planeswalker deck one, and the one from earlier was the one from the set. Yeah. +1, put 3 +1/+1 counters on up to 1 target creature. -1, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. -6, target creature gets +10/+10, gains trample until end of turn. That's what makes me think this is the deck box one. That -1 is honestly the only ability I care for. The +1's, alright. -6 sucks. But, yeah. Ethereal Elk, 3 generic and 2 green, trample. Creature, elf, spirit, rare. When Ethereal Elk enters the battlefield, you may search your library and/or graveyard for a card named Vivien, Nature's Avenger. Reveal it and put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. It is a 3/3 for 5 with trample. Why even give that small thing trample? So Nature's Avenger is that one. Gnarlback Rhino, 2 generic and 2 green. Creature Rhino, uncommon, trample. When you cast a spell that targets Gnarlback Rhino, draw a card. I think I'm ready to tell us what the forest is angry. I think it's trying to tell us that the forest is angry. I'm sorry. Vivien Reed, it is a 4/4 for 4 with trample and the ability to draw you cards. Honestly, I think of some random jank, red, white, and green Naya colors, and put this in a feather deck where you're drawing cards because you're targeting the Gnarlback Rhino. That'd be pretty funny, I think. And pretty cool, too. It has trample, which would make it the MVP of a feather deck, in my opinion. Vivien's Crocodile, 2 generic, 1 green. Creature Crocodile, spirit. That sounds like a Vivien. It is a common. Vivien's Crocodile gets +1/+1 as long as you control a Vivien's Planeswalker, regardless of where they come from. Crocs are usually able to find their way home. For this one, home is me, Vivien Reed, and it is a 3/3. Yeah. Gorging Vulture, 2 generic and 1 black. Creature bird, common, flying. When Gorging Vulture enters the battlefield, put the top 4 cards of your library into your graveyard. You gain 1 life for each creature card put into the graveyard this way. It is a 2/2. Yarok's Wavecrasher, 3 generic and 1 blue. Creature elemental, uncommon. When Yarok's Wavecrasher enters the battlefield, return another creature you control to its owner's hand. Yarok's waters rush and rage where armies bled into the sand. Lament for Bala Ged, stanza 2. 4/4. Once we get all these stanzas from Bala Ged, this is going to be an interesting little poem. When Yarok's Wavecrasher enters the battlefield, return another creature you control to some sand. I don't like that. Because it's a force, it's not even a May. I don't like that. Brought back. This is a card I like. 2 white mana. It's an instant. Choose up to 2 target permanent cards in your graveyard that were put there from the battlefield this turn. Return them on the battlefield. Return them to the battlefield tapped. As long as your courage remains, your life will not falter. Savannah Sage's Blade. So the reason I like this card is that I think of so many things that can be brought back. Yeah, you have that little stanza of return them to the battlefield tapped. Also, they had to be put into the graveyard in your graveyard, and they had to put there this turn. But what's really cool is that they're 2 permanents, and they're permanents. Not creatures, not artifacts, not lands. Lands are permanents. So that's what's really cool about Brockback, is it hits so many things, even though it has that little caveat. Also, it quotes Savannah Sage's Blade, which is probably going to be my favorite thing. So anyways, Tells In. This is another really cool card. 1 generic, 1 blue, instant rare. Counter target activated ability, triggered ability, or legendary spell. When you are gone, will anyone remember your story? Unknown. Ha ha, that's pretty funny. So yeah, this is, especially for the flavor text, really cool. Also, it counters any legendary spell. If you play this in Commander, there will be at least 1 legendary spell that you can think of to counter. So yeah, I think this card will see play somewhere. Even if it's like sideboarded against a Planeswalker heavy deck, because all Planeswalkers are legendary, so yeah. And then it also counters target activated ability. Loyalty abilities are activated. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Vorst Claw, 4 generic, 2 green. Creature Elemental Horror, common. Roots reach deep, and sometimes they tap into things better left undisturbed. It is a 7/7 for 6. Thunderkin Awakener, 1 generic, 1 red. Creature Elemental Shaman. It is of rare rarity. It has haste. Whenever Thunderkin Awakener attacks, choose target elemental creature card in your graveyard with toughness less than Thunderkin Awakener's toughness. Return that card to the battlefield tapped and attacking. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. And it's a 1/2. So this card kind of reminds me of Dreadhorde Arcanist with the whole when it attacks, toughness, but power instead of toughness. So it just reminds me a lot of Dreadhorde Arcanist, and because Dreadhorde Arcanist has been seeing a lot of play, I can imagine that Thunderkin Awakener will see the same thing. Apostle of the Purifying Light. It is 1 generic, 1 white creature human cleric. It is a uncommon. Protection from black, guys. Protection. Pay 2 generic mana. Exile target card from a graveyard. That's neat. That's pretty cool. That gets rid of, like, Rekindling Phoenixes. Waves of Gloom and Reassembling Skeletons and Gutter Bows. Waves of Gloom crash into... I'm just bombing this. Waves of Gloom crash in vain against his unyielding light. It is a 2/1 for 2 and has protection from black, so that's pretty cool. God's Willing. 1 white instant uncommon. Target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. You scry 1. When Feather exists, this card exists. Wow, that's ridiculous. I already play a card similar to this, if this isn't a reprint, in my Feather Commander deck. So this will be seeing play in my Feather deck, and I love you. God's Willing. Cropse Knight. I'm pretty sure I already went over this card, but it looked like it was dropped today. I don't know, just in case I didn't. 1 white, 1 black creature zombie knight. It is a uncommon. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life. It doesn't say tokens, so make this into a token building deck. Make it into an Afterlife deck. It's in the same colors as Afterlife. So go ahead and do that. With each knight that rode out from the Bone White Keep, the Queen soldiers felt their courage failing. Crimea, Siege of the Bone Spire. So that person gets a couple different things to say here, huh? And it is a 2/2 for 2 that I wish it drained life, but it doesn't. It actually pings. So yeah, that's the end of the video, guys. Thank y'all for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, do all that usual YouTube stuff. And this is Sneaky Narcotic, signing off.